You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by Waffle House. East Tennessee's #1 post-game high school football show. Live, on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from the winning coaches and players, along with highlights from other games around East Tennessee. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with the 5 Star Preps team, will update you on games as they become final and will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
All right, everybody, welcome in to Week 11. The regular season is over. I'm Jesse Smithy, joined as always by Kevin Smith. Tonight, we're going to take you through Week 11, the big moments, the big wins, some highlights, some interviews, and then we're going to unveil the TSSAA playoff brackets. We've been in our war room all night, figuring out all the different scenarios. We've got them all set up now, and we're going to unveil those here shortly. But tonight, Kevin Smith, a lot of region championships won. We saw Loudon knock off Kingston. We saw West High School with a very impressive performance tonight in just a rout of a good Central team that we saw a week ago. But key games that we had our eye on tonight was this Fulton and Carter game. So many different scenarios in Region 2 4A with Carter, with Fulton, with South Doyle and Gibbs. Fulton, though, just puts the defensive clamps down on Carter High School, and they win easily. They intercept 5 passes tonight against Carter, and Fulton gets a 2 seed.
Yeah, congrats to Fulton. A lot of adversity this year, but this is a defense we've talked about. We talked about on our halftime show that we've talked about all year. Mm-hmm. It starts up front with the defensive line and their outside linebackers, especially the Vaughn brothers. These guys put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. They can shut down an entire run game, make you one-dimensional. And when that happens, they've got some electric playmakers on the offensive side of the ball that, oh, by the way, double in the secondary. And you saw that tonight when those guys are getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing him to throw early or in bad situations. Fulton doesn't just knock the ball down or get pass deflections. They turn them into turnovers. And I also really like this linebacking core, Jesse. They run around, fly around to the football, and they're physical, and they cause fumbles. And these guys are quick to get those. When you cause 5 turnovers, especially 5 interceptions, you're going to win the football game.
The big question mark with this Fulton team, and I remember all the way back to week 1 was, and everybody kept saying this, including me, was their number ones are very, very good, but there's not a lot of schedule. How would they look in weeks 8, 9, 10, 11? They got stronger as the year wore on.
Well, and I think early on they had to find a way to have other players step up. They had some of their best players out early on in the season. It gave some guys a lot of reps so that they could get better and get more experience. So now that experience, Jesse, is really turning in and providing dividends here later in the year, especially as they move forward into the playoffs. Yeah,
tonight Carter was threw for 185 and 5 interceptions. That's not what they're used to. Fulton, just an impressive defensive performance. We sent our junior reporter, Jeremy Kidwell, out into the field tonight to talk with head football coach Rob Black from Fulton High School. Here's his interview with Rob Black.
All right, Coach, what does home field advantage mean for you guys?
It means 2 things. Number one, it's a lot easier to play in your own friendly confines here rather than getting on a bus and going somewhere that's really tough to play. And the second thing this win does, and us getting to play at home again, is this senior class right here went through a couple of years of growing pains and maybe playing at times when some of them weren't ready to play, and then all of a sudden, it gets to their senior year and they win one like this, get a number 2 seed, get a chance to play at home. Man, my hat's off to them, and I'm just super proud of those guys.
Kind of shift gears towards defense a little bit. Tonight, you guys had 5 interceptions. Talk about your defensive effort and the output and the kind of what was your goals going into this game as far as a defensive staff?
Well, again, I think our staff put together a great plan, but our kids executed that plan. And we said coming in we were going to have to play really, really good on the back end. Leading passer in the state, and those guys usually put up a lot of points, and they can throw the football. And So our back end did play well, but I think our back end would tell you, man, that pressure that front four put on that guy tonight was fun to see. I mean, they got after him all night, made him uncomfortable. He never really had a chance to sit there and pat it and throw it. So, great plan, and then it was executed.
As we kind of look forward till next week, home playoff game, what are a couple things this week that your team needs to focus on to improve and to make that game next week, a better output by you guys? What do you want to focus on as a team?
I think we need to focus on consistency, and we got ahead. I think we were executing pretty well on offense, and then maybe we played to the scoreboard a little bit, and we took a few breaks up front and didn't execute the way we could have and the way we were early. So, we got to come back and go back to work and see those things on film and work on them and get them back into play next week.
Shout out to Rob Black and the Fulton Falcons for getting that 2 seed. We'll tell you about who they're going to play in the first round of the 4A playoffs coming up very, very soon. But, Kevin, you had a point to make before we went right to the interview.
Yeah, well, I just this Fulton defense, Jesse, just mentioning the defensive line and the secondary players, when you speed up an offense the way they can with the pressure they get up front, turnovers happen. And that's what you saw tonight, a good defensive effort, speeding up the Carter offense and turning that into 5 interceptions.
Yeah, good point. One of the best games of the night that we thought was going to be a great game ended up being a great game. Bearden and Farragut fighting for a 6A playoff spot. 2 West Knoxville rivals, and it ended up being a classic, just like we thought. Bearden knew they had to keep it low scoring, especially with the rain, to try to muddy up this game and try to get a win. They nearly did it, but it came down to a final field goal tonight. But just another classic performance from Farragut and Bearden.
Yeah, and we got to give Farragut a lot of credit here. They made the drive when they had to make the drive. It was not the performance offensively that we're used to throughout the year. Bearden's defense has a lot to do with that. They've been really good all year as well. But Farragut got down into the red zone. We were kind of watching the game, Jesse, and the clock management there, we were really kind of wondering what was going on. Farragut had a plan. They got down. They were about getting ready to kick a field goal. Bearden tries to ice them twice. And on the second time, after the second time, Bearden, I don't know if they were trying to bark out the cadence. Right. I don't know what they did, but they got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty to move that field goal up. It was unbelievable to watch, and obviously Farragut kicks that field goal to win the game. But that penalty is really costly there because at 43 yards, Jesse, sometimes kickers try to kick it too hard and they kick it low, and you get a deflection, you get a block, you get a scoop and score. Bearden didn't even give themselves a chance with that penalty to block that kick.
Well, I haven't got many predictions right this week, but we talked at halftime and said if it comes down to a close game, I liked Farragut's kicker. Now, he went out there the first time and kicked a 43-yard field goal, and it was good.
It was.
But Bearden had called the timeout and iced him, but to have that penalty, and I don't know what happened, but that was just a critical mistake that you cannot do. A lot of mistakes that Bearden made. They had multiple trips inside the red zone tonight that came up empty. Farragut was able to stop them on down, so they're going to go back and watch that tape and go, we could have won it there. It's always 1 or 2 plays that could really swing a game like that. But there are multiple times during that game, I think Bearden's going to look back and say, we could have won that football game had we not done fill in the blank. And that biggest fill in the blank was that personal foul, unsportsmanlike penalty. As you mentioned, moving it up from 43, 44 yards to 29, I mean, that's right in the wheelhouse of Reese Kenny. He's one of the better kickers in the area. He's going to make that every time.
Well, and you got to look at it this way. That was a playoff game. And when you get in the playoffs, every possession matters, every play matters. And you saw that tonight by Bearden not making the plays when it counted, when they needed them, and especially that penalty there at the end. They're going to kick themselves for that. I also want to give some credit to Farragut's defense. It's been a maligned defense all year. There have been some games where they've had some struggles. They came out tonight, did what they had to do to give their offense and the team a chance to win the football game, and you saw the special teams come through at the end.
I've been getting a lot of text messages and direct messages and Twitter messages from West High School fans. We talked at halftime. Every time I doubt West, they throw it back at me, throw it in my face, because they end up doing something really impressive. It was the double overtime game against Alcoa earlier in the year, and I had Central winning tonight 16-14, and what I thought was going to be a really just grinded out defensive battle for the Region 2 5A championship. It was 49-0 at halftime. West High School, I don't know.
I agree with you, Jesse. I thought it would be, both teams running the football, grinding it out, time of possession, field position type football game. But I think what you saw tonight was West big playability. They've got some home run hitters, and when you have home run, and we talk about this all the time each week, 20-plus yard plays, chunk plays, you got to get them to be able to win football games in today's game. And West got that tonight, and when they got rolling, it just kept snowballing on Central. And then for Central, once they got behind like that, Jesse, now they can't even use what is really what they're built for, is to run the football. Now you're having to pass the ball, you become one-dimensional, and West has some players on defense that if you're one-dimensional, they're going to come, they're going to hunt the quarterback, they're going to get after you.
West High School, I'm sorry. I mean, that's all I can say. I'll pick them to win for the rest of the year. How about that?
I don't know if they want you to do that. I think you should probably keep. If I was a West fan, I'd want you to keep doing what you're doing.
Loudon High School wins the Region 3A championship over Kingston. Kingston was trying to get its first region title since 2000. Loudon too much tonight. They win 28-7. Catholic falls to NBA, and we'll talk about Catholic later in the show when we unveil the Division II AAA bracket. But they're in. They're a 4 seed, and they're actually going to get to host the first-round game. So we'll talk about that more coming up. Meigs County stays undefeated. They beat Marion County tonight 20-0 to win a region championship. Oak Ridge gets a really big win, 48-21 over Campbell County. Oak Ridge is a 3 seed. They'll still have to go on the road, but this was a shot in the arm for a team that really needed some type of boost.
Yeah, I mean, they've got playmakers. They've got the ability. They showed it last year when they struggled opening up the year. They showed some resiliency. And if we talked about it earlier, and we talked about it in the halftime show, if they can just get in the playoffs, dude, the records are clean here, Jesse. Everybody starts over. You're 0-0, you're 0-0. It's time to go. This is an opportunity for Oak Ridge. Good job tonight getting the win to get yourself in. And now anything can happen, and they've got the playmakers to get to make some noise as an underdog or as a lower seed in the playoffs. This is the type of team, as a higher seed, I don't necessarily want on my side of the ground.
Rockwood wins tonight 34-27. And why are we talking about that? That's because it ended up being a 3-way tie in that region 2-2A with Oneida and Monterey. Once you get through all the scenarios, Rockwood gets the number 1 seed. They're out there celebrating a region title. I think they've won 6 games in a row now. Remember, they had an injury to their quarterback early in the year. They fell to 1-3, and it looked like all was going to be lost. John Webb, great football coach.
He's a really good football coach. A guy I admire and love. A good colleague when I was coaching. Listen, man, they started out 0-3 and had a bunch of injuries, and he was able to keep that team together mentally, able to keep their confidence up, able to get other players experience, and now you're seeing that winning streak, and all those players that had to come in and replace those guys are now available and ready for a playoff push. This is a team that could make a long run here in the playoffs.
Maryville gets another region championship, their 21st region championship in a row. Again, I keep saying this, they have not lost a region game since 2000. They have not lost a game in October since 1997. Both of those trends continue. And their quarterback, Carson Jones, I know me mentioning this is like saying, hey, you're throwing a no-hitter. That's just, you don't do that. But I have to say it. He, in 10 games, 10 regular season games, he did not throw an interception.
Yeah, I think it's okay to say once this, we've got the regular season over here. Let's
incredible.
It's a stat. It's just a stat. That's unbelievable. Any tip ball, just having a bad night. And we go back just to Maryville as a program. Like, they just haven't had the bad night where a team can upset them in October or win that region championship. The level of consistency is phenomenal. It's uncanny, and there's really no other words to put on it. This is a program that is a championship program, and here we go again. We're gonna be watching them and expecting them to get on another run here.
Yeah, so we'll unveil the 6A bracket here just shortly, and that's going to wrap up our first segment. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go into all the TSSAA playoff brackets. We've been doing a lot of number crunching and scenario crunching here tonight, so we're going to go through all 6 classifications. We're going to get into Division II, so don't go anywhere. Right here on 5 Star Live, presented by Waffle House. Stick with us.
Coker Rental Company is your hometown go-to spot to rent equipment and tools. We offer fast delivery on late model, low hour, boom lifts, excavators, track skid steers, scissor lifts, and more. Coker Rental Company prides itself on great customer service and providing the best equipment and tools at a reasonable rate. Give us a call today at 865-457-1478 and let us be your go-to rental company for your next project.
Men's Grooming Studio is Knoxville's premier barbershop. Conveniently located in the center of K-Town, Tapered will have you feeling and looking your best. We offer walk-in appointments, and we specialize in haircuts for both young and old. Our master barbers will give you the best haircut you can find in a style that is unique to you. Come and see us today or check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by Waffle House. Again, I'm Jesse Smithy, joined by Kevin Smith. It's bracket time. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So we've been working on
playoff time.
Yeah,
baby.
Playoff time. This is what we do. This is what we do on the War Room Show. We stay here all night. We crunch scenarios. We monitor games. We give you updates at halftime, and now we're ready to get into the brackets. I think even before the TSSAA got them out.
Yeah, they're never going to get them
take
out
that.
tonight.
So let's start in Class 1A. We're going to go into the 1A bracket. You can see Greenback sneaking in there. They got beat tonight by Oliver Springs, but due to some tiebreak scenarios, they get in as the 4 seed. They'll have to make that long bus drive all the way up to Cloudland. But Ethan Edmiston, in his first season at head coach at Greenback, they get into the playoffs. Jellicoe, a 3 seed, on the road at Oakdale. Oakdale, if you remember, 2 or 3 years ago, they had to cancel the end of their season. They didn't have enough players. Here they are with J.R. Voiles at head coach, getting a 2 seed, getting a home playoff game. Those are high school stories that I love to write.
Yeah, and for the playoffs, that's extra money into your program as far as hosting the home games. This is huge for some of these programs.
Midway, despite losing tonight to Oliver Springs, they are the 3 seed. They'll go up to Unaka. And finally, North Green at Coalfield. That should be an easy win for Coalfield. Coalfield kind of carrying the banner locally in Class 1A as the local representative who could possibly challenge a South Pittsburgh or Gordonsville or whatever in the bracket. So they took a couple shots midway through the season, took a couple losses, but have really gotten better as the season wore on. Benson Napier in his first season as head coach at Coalfield. All right, let's flip the page. We'll go over into 2A. 2A, you got York as the number 4 seed going up to South Green. South Green has had multiple seasons ended by Meigs County. They have a quarterback, Luke Myers, who was a Mr. Football finalist last year, having another good season. They bulked up, beefed up their competition. They took on Catholic earlier in the year to try to prepare themselves for another playoff push. We'll see if they can do that. Oneida ends up getting the 2 seed. We talked about this region with Monterey, with Rockwood, with Oneida. All ended up tied for the number 1 spot. Oneida, because of tiebreak, gets a 2 seed. Still get to host a playoff game against Cumberland Gap. But again, they lost their head coach, Tony Lambert. And I'm sure they had a lot of doubters, but to be sitting there at a 2 seed, that's not too bad.
Not at all. But I think you see right here, Jesse, the importance of winning your region and getting this and getting a top seed. You're looking down here at Rockwood again with all the injuries, but been able to find a way to get that 1 seed. Now they're opposite of South Green. They can get themselves to the quarterfinals. And anytime you get yourself to the quarterfinals, again, you're just asking to give yourself an opportunity to get to that next level and continue your run to survive and advance. And that's what you're seeing right here with Rockwood and South Green moving forward.
We had a loyal listener listening to our last segment while we were talking about Rockwood and just the adversity they'd overcome with their quarterback situation. They've actually lost a couple of quarterbacks, and now Jaden Hannibal kind of filling in. I don't want to call him a fourth string. I think he's just a last resort.
Yeah.
That's a guy who is a big playmaker, but we'll see how that. I think they get past Happy Valley. I think Rockwood easily gets past Happy Valley, but should Monterey be right there waiting for them? That's going to be a difficult game if you're playing with just kind of a Band-Aid kind of at quarterback.
Well, I said you sometimes quarterback's the best player, your best athlete on the field. Keep the ball in their hands at all times. I think that's something here Rockwood can do, and a guy that can make plays and electric with the ball in his hands. So I'm not going to count them out even with him at quarterback.
Yeah, so there's your 2A bracket for our local teams. We didn't have time to do the whole state. We're focusing on our local teams. So we'll flip the slide. We'll get into 3A. A lot of 3A teams to get to tonight. Austin East, number 4 seed, got a couple wins this year. That's good for them. They're going to have to go on the road up to Unicoi County. Definitely Unicoi is going to be favored in that one. Pigeon Forge, we interviewed Scott Meadows in our pregame show tonight. They beat Gatlinburg-Pittman last night for the first time since 2017. They get a 2 seed. Scott Meadows has been doing this a really long time. He knows how to get his guys up for the playoffs.
Yeah, a huge win last night for them. Get them in a 2 seed. Gives them an opportunity here. I like their draw. I like an opportunity there for them to advance, 2 rounds here and possibly get into the quarterfinals. Again, give yourself an opportunity and a chance. Obviously, there's a big buzzsaw down there at the bottom of the bracket in Alcoa. But again, I want that opportunity and that chance. Great win last night for Pigeon Forge. I like their draw.
Yeah, Gatlinburg-Pittman right there at the 3 seed. Brad Wagner had it rolling a little bit out there. This is his first year as head football coach at Gatlinburg-Pittman. Lost a tough one last night, 17-14 to Pigeon Forge, but an opportunity to get a playoff win against Chucky Doe. Not going to be an easy game, but go on the road, try to get a playoff win, and they're not going to beat Alcoa in round 2, but still, it's something to build off of.
Absolutely. I like Alcoa. I mean, they're a class of 3A. It's going to be a tough matchup. And I like them, obviously to move forward all the way through the bracket.
Yeah, so we'll flip the Alcoa won easily tonight. They're the 6-time defending state champions. I do want to talk about them. I feel like sometimes they get ignored just because some of the teams they have to play in 3A, and we don't really talk about them in the playoffs until the semifinals. So Alcoa has a lot of things going for them. It's going to take something just crazy, though, for them to not win a state champion, or at least get to the state championship.
I think what's different this year than in some years past for them, Jesse, is the quarterback position. Now, we all know they've got the tough offensive line that can road grade. We all know they've got the backs and the skill players. And then we all know that they love to turn around and be physical and hand the football off. But now, with Mr. Buckles at quarterback, they've got a guy who can throw the ball. They've got a guy who can add the quarterback run game, which is one-on-one football in today's football. They are so dynamic offensively. They can beat you with his arm, they can beat you with his legs, and they can beat you in the run game. It's a different Alcoa football team that, to me, is going to be harder to beat than in years past.
Yep. All right, let's we'll flip the slide on to the next little quadrant in the 3A bracket. Loudon, as we mentioned in the last segment, they beat Kingston to get the 1 seed, that region championship. They'll face a Grundy County team that will be clearly outmatched. I think Grundy County's only won 1 football game all season long. Signal Mountain goes to Cannon County. Kingston, number 2 seed. They didn't get that region championship, but still get to host that playoff game, and that's big for Brian Pankey, a football team that's going to like to run the football, play some tough defense, and see if they can get, looking ahead to them, if they can get past Sequatchie County. I think Giles County might be undefeated, so that's going to be a difficult game, but still a nice position for Kingston.
Well, I like this. I like this draw for Kingston. Again, they can run the football, and in the playoffs, a run game can travel anywhere at any time, and it doesn't matter the weather. I like Kingston here. I like them to have an opportunity to possibly get in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's a long trip to Giles County. As I almost lost my phone there. That would have been an expensive mistake, but that's a long trip to Giles County if they have to go there. But still, a great season so far for Kingston. We'll keep an eye on them in the 3A playoffs. All right, we're going to move on to 4A before we take our next break. And this was the wild one to watch in Region 2 4A with South Doyle and Fulton and Carter and just all that could happen. We're going to see Sean Gary and that South Doyle team on the road at number 1 Greenville.
I'll tell you, it's the type of team I don't want to see because we don't know which team's going to show up. The team that can dominate you offensively, that Sean Gary can just go off. We're going to see the team that has 10 penalties that kind of just doesn't look like they're mentally there that night. This is and dude, when you look at this bracket, Jesse, look at the championship programs.
Yeah.
That we're looking. We got Greenville, Fulton, Elizabethton. Anderson County has been on the cusp year after year after year of finally getting over that hump. Could this be the year? But I'll tell you, whoever comes out of this bracket is going to be battle tested for sure with all these championship programs with really good players.
And when Greenville did all that they could do this year. They went undefeated. They beat Elizabethton, the 2-time defending state champions, in the regular season to earn the 1 seed. When you look at the top half of that portion of the bracket versus where Elizabethton is, I mean, Elizabethton's got the easier draw right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a draw, but they're in the easier spot because Greenville's going to have to beat South Doyle and then take on a really hot Fulton team right now.
Well, I think for Greenville, it's one of those situations where, again, you're playing 2 teams that at any moment they can hit the big play. And so you can play 50 out of 52 snaps defensively, perfect. But those 2 snaps you didn't were 80-yard touchdowns. And then, oh, by the way, they returned a punt for a kick for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you've got yourself in a really close ball game because of 3 big plays. So that's something that Greenville's going to really have to do a good job of, keeping everything in front of them defensively and then controlling the ball offensively with their run game and Gruder.
Now, there's going to be a lot of people interested in that Fulton-Greenville matchup. Those 2 teams go way back. They used to scrimmage each other at Carson Newman in the preseason. When we first started 5-Star Preps, we used to go up to Carson Newman and watch those 2 programs battle. A lot of history there. Back in the early 2010s, they would face off in the playoffs. So Carter's got his hands full. They did not look good tonight in that loss at Fulton, and now they're going to have to go on the road to Elizabethton, who probably feels slighted. They probably feel like they're overlooked. Even though they're 2-time defending state champion with just 1 loss on the year. So that's going to be a motivated Elizabethton team.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued and excited for this bracket. I mean, again, a lot of good football teams. Whoever can come out of this and get into the semifinals is going to have earned it, and they're going to have survived in advance because of how many good teams are here. And Anderson County, again, can they finally get over the hump this year? That's going to be a good question, but they've got a lot of good teams in front of them.
I remember tweeting, I think back in late August, that I was ready for the 4A playoffs to start, that it couldn't get here fast enough. And everybody's like, dude, there's still a whole season to play. But that bracket right there, just looking at it, makes you excited for the playoffs. All right, stick with us. We're going to take another break. Come back. We're going to break down 5A brackets, 6A brackets, Division II, all right here on 5-Star Live, presented by Waffle House.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
You're watching 5 Star Live. East Tennessee's #1 post-game high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from the winning coaches and players, along with highlights from other big games from around Tennessee. Your host, Jesse Smithy, with decades of experience covering high school sports, and his 5-star preps team will update you on games as they become final and will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Welcome back to 5 Star Live, presented by Waffle House. It's time, Kevin, to get into Class 5A, and this is always one of the deeper classifications for East Tennessee, especially over the last 2 or 3 years. And let's start up in the top quadrant up there. We got a 4-seed Halls going on the road to Daniel Boone, which has a losing record. This is a game that Halls can win.
Absolutely. I mean, again, this is one of those lower-seeded teams I would not want to see. It's a team that can throw the football just enough, has a good, solid running game, and has some playmakers on the outside that you don't really realize how fast they are, and a team that has shown they can play good defense at times and turn people over. That's not a team I want to see, especially as the higher seeds, as a 1 seed and then as a 2 in the next round.
It's not very rare, or it's not uncommon for Region 2 to oftentimes sweep Region 1 in 5A, except last year they had David Crockett, who had a Mr. Football winner going to play at Notre Dame. But this year, it certainly looks like a Region 2 sweep. Central, even though they lost big tonight to West, they get to host a playoff game against Tennessee High. That's winnable for Central. Sevier County playing as good a football as anybody right now. Colin Shannon is having a fantastic second half to his senior season. A lot of guys have stepped up around him. They go on the road to play Davy Crockett. I'm going to predict Sevier County to win that football game, and then West High School should have no problem with Morristown West.
Yeah, again, Region 2. It's like one of those. They're loaded. It's a good region. We saw close games. I mean, Central Hall second round. As we're looking forward there, we just saw a very tight football game just last week. A game that could have gone either way there towards the end. I see a clean sweep as well, Jesse.
In Sevier County and West, if they rematch, I think West won that game 20-19 in the regular season. So I know Sevier County would like another crack at West, but man, after what West did tonight, just they were on all cylinders tonight. So they're definitely a 1 seed, earned that 1 seed. All right, we'll flip the slide. We'll go into quadrant 2 of the 5A bracket, and this is your Powells, your Oak Ridges of the world going against some Chattanooga area teams. Number 1 seed Powell taking on a Ooltewah team that won 2 or 3 games this year. There should not be a first-round upset for Powell.
Well, Powell, I think, learned their lesson from last year, and we've seen that they're actually getting stronger and better as the season goes on. They've got too many playmakers. Defense is coming on. If they can get healthy or stay healthy, I think they're going to be just fine, and I think a group that learned from last year's upset is not going to let that happen again.
Remember in the Catholic game where Walter Nolan carried off Jaden Collins to the sidelines and we didn't know the extent of that injury? Well, we found out today on Twitter that Jaden Collins did end up having to have surgery, so our prayers are with that young man. I never like to see a senior lose the last few games or any games of his final career or final season in high school.
Yeah, it's tough enough to play on senior night for a lot of these guys at home, much less lose that opportunity from an injury. I know how that feels. It's really tough when you don't get to walk off on your own terms.
Yep. Oak Ridge got that win in convincing fashion tonight over Campbell County. They are the 3 seed. They go on the road to face a McMinn County team that's kind of been in the shadows a little bit, kind of quietly having a really good year there. The 2 seed, that could be one of the better games of round 1.
Yeah, if I'm McMinn County, I'm a little upset that now I'm seeing an Oak Ridge team. You know, I'm technically playing the 3 seed from the other region, but this is an Oak Ridge team that has the talent to be successful. Can they put it all together, Jesse, is the question. We saw tonight, they were able to sneak in. Now, can all that talent come together and figure this thing out at the right time and make a run? It's not a lower seeded team I would want to see anywhere in my bracket.
But hats off to, and I want to give a shout out to everybody in McMinn County. Do you remember what happened to them in the playoffs last year? The COVID cancellation game against Dobbins Bennett. They had a Mr. Football finalist in Jalen Hunt. They had Bryce Goodner, who had signed or was going to sign with Virginia Tech. And they had multiple players. Just really set up nicely for them to have a nice little playoff run. The COVID cancellation ended their season, and so kudos to McMinn County. They lost those players. They lost that opportunity in the postseason last year. Bounced back with a number 2 seed. We'll see if they can get a win next Friday night. Carnes, an inexplicable loss tonight to Clinton. I don't know if they held players out, but they just got stomped by Clinton. But still, they're the 2 seed. They will host Walker Valley, the team that upset Powell in the first round last year. I don't think this is the same type of Walker Valley team, but nevertheless, Carnes cannot take them lightly.
No, and I think, again, we're seeing contrasting styles of football. We got Carnes going to turn around and hand the ball off to Bishop 40, 50 times. He's going to touch it that many times. Big play opportunities, have shown the ability to throw the ball around a little bit. And then a Walker Valley team who's going to throw it more than they are going to run it. I will say this, and we're about to hit on Ray County here. Ray County's the 1 seed. Coach Pemberton, when he was up here to play Alcoa earlier in the year, and we went to the Alcoa Ray County game, he told me, watch out for Walker Valley. He felt like that was going to be some competition this year, and a team that he thinks has a chance to really make a push. So Carnes has got to be ready to play. They got to be defensively ready to play against this Walker Valley team.
And they should have no reason to take Walker Valley lightly. This is their first playoff appearance in 10 years. They should be ready from the jump, and we'll see what they got next Friday night. But again, great season by the Beavers, getting to host a first-round playoff game. You mentioned Ray County. They're the 1 seed out of Region 4. 5A, they host Campbell County, kind of limps into the playoffs a little bit.
Yeah, and Campbell County is going to go back to drawing board quickly. There's a wing T offense they're about to face, foot-to-foot splits. It's going to be very physical. Campbell County's got to get ready because it's really hard as a scout team to simulate what Ray County does. So Campbell County's got a lot of work to do here to get ready for this football game.
All right, let's move on to the Class 6A bracket. Of course, everybody's talking about Maryville. Can they get back to the state semifinals, take on an Oakland team? This is what their quadrant looks like. 4 seed Farragut. They got that field goal to beat Bearden tonight. They get the 4 seed. They have to go on the road to Science Hill, and Science Hill put a beat down on Dobbins Bennett tonight. They put a beat down on quite a few teams this year, and Farragut's going to have his hands full.
That's a tough matchup for Farragut. Let's just be honest about it. Science Hill's had a great year, and it's going to be a really hard matchup and a hard game to win for Farragut.
Next up, Jefferson County. There was some debate on whether Jefferson County was going to be the 4 seed or the 3 seed. We called all the coaches. We called Derek Hunt. We called Spencer Riley. And they said Jefferson County is the 3 seed, so that's what we're rolling with. They will play on the road at Bradley Central. Bradley Central was looking for a region championship tonight. They came up way short against Maryville. And so Jefferson County, we talked about them losing their starting quarterback, Isaiah Hall. But things didn't go well for them tonight against Westridge, but this is a good opportunity to get a playoff win.
Well, it's glad we're excited to see them back in the playoffs. This is a proud program, a lot of history there. A team that lost their starting quarterback, lost their running back who moved to Nashville in the offseason. A team who had some adversity and was able to find a way to have a really good football season and get in the playoffs. A team that can run the football. Again, if you can run the football, you have a chance. It's going to be a tough matchup against Bradley Central, but kudos to Jeff County fighting through that adversity and getting in the playoffs.
Cleveland goes to Westridge. Hats off to Westridge. That's their first year. Remember, this is a consolidation of schools from the Kingsport area, Sullivan South, Sullivan North, all combining forces there to create this Westridge program, and they get a 2 seed and get to host a playoff, so that's pretty cool for them. Dobbins Bennett, 4 seed on the road at Maryville. Maryville just doesn't lose this time of year.
No, and it's a tough draw. You don't ever want to be the 4 seed against Maryville. Again, we're looking for Maryville to really get in that quarterfinals with Science Hill. I'm looking forward to that matchup, actually, Jesse. I think that's going to be a little bit tighter than people think. And then whoever wins that game has got a really loaded Oakland team out of Murfreesboro.
Yeah, Maryville and Oakland, they've battled the last 6 or 7 years in the playoffs, and a lot of people expecting that once again. We'll see if it can happen. I think Maryville has at least made it to the state semifinals in 21 consecutive years. They're going to try to make it 22, and so we'll see. Dobbins Bennett, Science Hill, Farragut, a lot of teams will want to have a say in that. Let's move over into Division II, and we didn't have time to do all the brackets for Division II. There's a lot of games going over in West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, but we'll start off in Division IIA. TKA, Jonathan Sellers, they lost a lot of players off of last year. They lost the quarterbacks, and here they are as a 2 seed. They'll get to host a first-round playoff game against Franklin Grace. Do you have any knowledge of Franklin Grace in your time over in Middle Tennessee?
Yeah, it's a young up-and-coming program. I think Kings Academy is going to have a really this is a good draw for them. I think they've got plenty of ammo to take care of this in the first round. And you're right, Coach Sellers has done a great job. They lost a lot of players off last year's team, either from seniors or transfers, to get this group back and have almost had an opportunity to win the region. To keep them in that hunt. They've got a nice little draw here.
We'll move on to Division II AA. Webb School of Knoxville, they got a 1 seed. They lost tonight, but still the 1 seed because they had that tie break with CAK, a game that we covered. So they have a bye in the first round next week, so they're going to have an interested eye on some games that are going on next Friday night. CAK got the win over Silverdale tonight. They are the 2 seed. That means they will host FRA. What do you think they're going to see out of FRA?
Franklin Road Academy is going to show up with a really good coaching staff. They're going to be prepared. They're going to be disciplined. And you're going to see a running back in Jeffrey Vircher, a young man who started since his freshman year, is now a senior. He's fast. He's elusive. He's one of the better backs I've seen in the last couple of years. He can do it all. This is going to be an opportunity for CAK's defense and kind of their vaunted front, a front that we've talked about a lot. They're going to have to be ready to go and get this young man on the ground because he's a special player. All
right, lastly, we move on to Division II AAA. That's where Catholic resides. They lose a tough one tonight against NBA, but they're still in the playoffs. Because of tie breaks, they ended up as a 4 seed. 4 seeds get to host a first-round playoff game in this bracket. They will host Christian Brothers out of Memphis. I'm sure Corey Mobbs and that program is super glad that they don't have to bust it all the way over to Memphis.
Yeah, and I mean, they need to be sending letters to their brothers there in Nashville from Father Ryan for upsetting Baylor tonight to get them a home game. Man, this has changed things for Catholic. I really believe that, Jesse. This has really set them up nicely. Christian Brothers is loaded with talent. Don't get it twisted. Go look them up. They've got Power 5 linemen. They've got an Ohio State commit running back, Mr. Hayden, whose dad played at the University of Tennessee. They've got players. For some reason, they haven't been able to put it together this year, going 1-4 in their league in the West Side. But this is set up nicely for Catholic to host a game and not have to travel to either Middle Tennessee or West Tennessee, and giving them an opportunity to, again, survive and advance.
It's been a long night. We had a pregame show, we had a halftime show, and now our postgame show is complete. We've been here since, I think, 5 o'clock, providing you guys all the updates. So I hope you enjoyed the shows tonight, and hopefully your teams next week in the playoffs get a postseason win. For Kevin Smith, I'm Jesse Smithy. Thanks so much for watching 5 Star Live, presented by Waffle House. We'll see you guys next week in the postseason.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
You're watching 5 Star Live. East Tennessee's #1 post-game high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from the winning coaches and players, along with highlights from other big games from around Tennessee. Your host, Jesse Smithy, with decades of experience covering high school sports, and his 5-star preps team will update you on games as they become final, and will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.